Two bitches. So, yeah, I was saying, so the doctor pretty much was being like, the thing is, it's very hard to actually get doctors, to be honest with you. Like, it's very rare because they try to protect your feelings and, yeah, just be real, man. Be real with me. Like, let me. One thing people don't understand is, yeah, living with sickle cell, a child born with sickle cell, an adult born with sickle cell. There's adult living with sickle cell. There's one commonality in it all. You have to come to grips with death pretty quickly. It's something very quickly you have to come to terms with, because I guarantee you there's not one person with sickle cell who did not have a near-death experience, or several growing up. So even how we perceive death in itself is an entirely different thing. Like myself, I personally have died, yeah? You can't apply the same logic to someone who's literally died and survived it to someone who's never experienced it. So it's a weird dichotomy where you will find doctors who are trying to, like, not be, I guess in their point of view, not be brutish and not be like trying to be like I guess they're just trying to be fair and reassuring and all that stuff, but ultimately, like, it's something I just had to face. It's like me seeing that the sky is blue. It's a reality. What I can argue and say it's orange, but it's blue, isn't it? So just give me the truth. And often people with sickle cell find it hard. They have to build relationships with these doctors, or most of the time it's not even the doctors. It's not the older doctors. It's the ones who have just started, or they're fairly new to the doctoring industry, before they become, in my personal opinion, corrupted by big pharma. They're willing to talk about stuff they wouldn't necessarily talk about. They will tell me about how much they actually learn about sickle cell in their medical training, and it's not that much. It's like half a book spoke about, like 10 minutes in a day, and then they move on to other blood conditions. Most of these doctors learn about sickle cell through their patients. I'm not going to mention names, but there's a lot of doctors who, because of what happened to me as a kid, their careers got elevated because they were known as the doctors who learned anyway, I'm not trying to because that's a whole different thing, but I don't want you to think also I don't respect these doctors, because I very much do, because they are brilliant doctors out there, but then there's also equally the same bad, yeah. And when I mean bad, I don't mean like they're here just chopping you up, and I mean it's just like how they treat it. Like I couldn't tell you the countless times I've been told I'm lying about my condition. It's because they can't see it. It wouldn't, if you didn't know how to look, yeah. And especially think about, let's go back to the 90s, yeah. They didn't have the same level of like detailing they have today. Like they don't have the same sort of, I guess they did, but it's not as advanced as it is today. And they didn't even really know how to look. Like literally, they only really started talking about sickle cell was the generation I was born. Before that, it wasn't really discussed. That's why my parents didn't know they had sickle cell trait, and it was just something they didn't know or didn't really care to look into, because it only affects a certain minority of people, and that's just it. So you imagine coming into hospital telling people, it's like I'm being stabbed, but they can't see blood. It's hurting a lot, but they can't like physically determine how much you're hurting. You're asking for painkillers, isn't it? But then oh my gosh, my head just I lost my whole fix my hair, fix it. So Shit, where was I? I lost my whole chain of thought,
The
but
doctors can't physically determine what is wrong with you, so it's like you're telling them the pain, but
they can't see it. They can't. They're not aware of it. So, especially back in the 90s, a lot more prevalent. Like they would just assume, especially being black or from a black family, they just assume that you're just either
a drug addict.
a drug addict, you're looking for attention, your household must be really bad, so they you clearly like the hospital more than you where you're living. These are the things they've said and things they said to my parents. I don't want to go into my personal story because I feel in itself is believe me, it's its own story. But my mum has literally told me stories that she had to challenge the doctors. Like they would like it's like they wouldn't do an X-ray, they wouldn't do anything because they can't see anything. They as far as I'm concerned, I'm just a normal kid with a bit of a temperature, and even sometimes the temperature would fade, and then they'll just think it's just a cold or something. I'm telling me, like she had to like battle doctors to do X-rays and do stuff they would do on normal patients because obviously I'm just a black kid pretending to be ill. And obviously it hasn't proved anything because there was a lot of things that happened in the 90s what made the NHS kind of realise that they had to, like, especially in London, they had to change how they dealt with it. Not so much outside of London, to be honest. If I went outside of London and shit, something happened to me, it would probably be the same treatment back in the 90s because they don't know. And that's where the danger is, because people don't know. They wouldn't know to give me blood. They wouldn't know to put me on a saline drip. They wouldn't even accept the amount of painkillers I'm telling them to give me. They'll think I'm just here for a hit. And yeah, there's no awareness, and then even less so the mental aspects of it. Like, physical pain inflicts mental pain. Living with sickle cell is basically living in a permanent state of hopelessness, but you put on a mask and make it seem to the world that you're okay and you're fine, but in reality there's nothing for you but painkillers and bandages. There's no cure, there's nothing. You have to just deal with all the darkness and all the ill feelings you feel, and you have to somehow convert it into something else because it will swallow you up. I myself, like, I'm most of the time really angry and just sad, and it's not because of anyone, it's just because of what my life is. But it's not like I want anyone to pity me or anything. It's just you were kind of always set up, and you just have to just deal with the cards you were dealt. You can't like reverse it, you can't take it away. You can just live your life in a way where you can, you know, become the best version of yourself, even though you're dealing with all these walls and barriers and whatever you want to call it, what's stopping you, because that's ultimately what it is. It is a choice, and often it's a very hard choice. Like, when you physically see the difference in how you've been treated to people who, in your opinion, have put themselves in predicament. This part of the conversation is always so hard to talk about, yeah. But honestly, how many people in our family do we know who have basically given themselves health conditions, be it by poor decisions or whatever? But the point is, I'm specifically talking about the people who, if they chose different options or different things, they would not be in the position they are in today. Yeah, that's I want to make clear, because I don't want to like undermine anyone else's condition. Well, my point is, yeah, there's people who've put themselves willingly into positions and get more care from the system than people who've been born into a lifetime condition. Bruv, it's only recently they started accepting like sickle cell as like I don't even think you could get it on PIP. But a couple of years ago, you couldn't apply for disability benefits under sickle cell. They say circumstantially it doesn't fit into their brackets of what is deemed. The point is, for a very long time, and still now, there's not a support system. You have to work because you have to pay for your medicine, but when you're ill, you can't work. And then if you're too ill, your bosses or your company will fire you. Therefore, you can't buy your medicine. And if you can't buy your medicine, you descend further. But that's if you've chosen a path of taking prescribed medicine and stuck to it. I have friends who've taken that path and they're no longer with me. I personally, I've tried to go a more, what's the natural word? Herbalistic?
Herbalistic?
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Herbal stuff.
Yeah, like just stuff from nature, because obviously that's where all drugs derive from anyway, nature. It's just that the West doesn't cater for my illness, so I've started to try and look beyond the West.
I'm beyond addicted to drugs, isn't
yeah,
it?
because like ultimately the West only offers you a lifetime addiction to opioids. That's the medicine they give you. Now they recently started prescribing anti-anxiety medicine and stuff, because they've kind of started to realize the mental sides of sickle cell, the impact it has on your psyche. Like me, I'm not a normal person because of sickle cell. Like, I had to learn to laugh at pain, because if I didn't learn to laugh at it, I would have, you know what I mean? Like it changes you, man. Like you cannot be the same person and live with this shit. Like, well, you can. But then I don't know, because I've never known differently. Would I have been a different person if I never had sickle cell? I don't know. I've never known a day where there hasn't been pain. You feel me? So it is very much a part of me. So if someone was to ask me if you could get rid of it now, would I? I don't know if I could say yes to that, because as much as I despise it and hate the fact that it takes thousands, like literally, how many friends I've lost because of it as well. Like, even anyway, I don't want to get into it because I don't feel it's appropriate to even talk about it, but this shit is serious and it kills people, and it kills the best of people too. The people who actually give for other people, it doesn't care, it kills. But the system doesn't care for these people, and it just keeps on happening. It happens and it happens and it happens, and all we can do is keep on moving. All I can do is try my best to be healthy. That's all I can do. They do have certain things like blood exchanges, but you have to fit certain brackets to even be put on these programs. If you're not in that bracket, you're not getting that aid, and that's a small minority of people. So I don't want to sound depressed, because I'm not depressed, because, well, perspective, yeah. But the point is, this is me, innit, and I wouldn't take it back for anything. I would just want, oh man, this stuff is so. I would just want it to be spoken about more, and I want to spread this message more, because people I care about and people I don't even know about, but people who know about. The point is, there's someone you know who has this, or you don't know, but someone you may know who knows someone. But this thing is killing people, and it's just happening, and all we do is cry about it and just say move on. It needs to be something we talk about. It's something we need to start. Because in short, man, the last thing I'm going to say is that it is, living with sickle cell is basically living hell adjacent. You may not necessarily be in hell, but I guarantee you know what hell is. And I don't want you to like do anything really. I would just want people who watch this video to basically try and look into it. Just broaden your understanding just a bit more, because it honestly makes the world so much easier for people like me. Because it's even hard to talk. Like for a very long time, I couldn't talk to my friends about sickle cell because I didn't even know how to talk to them without making them feel sad or depressed. So you just shut up about it. But if more people kind of even know a basic understanding of it, it will stop people like me feeling so isolated, because it really is a lonely world suffering from this. You don't feel like anyone gets you, and if you could honestly do that, it would mean 1,000 1,000 things to those individuals, because it would to me. Like when I meet people who know about sickle cell, like I automatically feel a bit more relieved, because at least know that they come in with a different understanding to people who wouldn't know, because people who don't know just assume we're talking crap, and that's just the realism, and that shit ultimately is dangerous, because the less people understand or know about this, it's the less likely they're going to do the things they need to do to save that person's life. And it's literally, it can be instant. You could be walking down the road happy, merry with your friends, and they get a sickle cell crisis on their arteries here. You don't have long, and if you don't know what to do, you will literally see your friend die before your eyes. But anyway, no more. Please have a good day and a good week, and if you honestly could, look into it, and even better, share and like this video, and subscribe if you like my message, and spread it, because it is Sickle Cell Awareness Month, and it would be perfect that you do, because enough is enough. The world needs to know about this, because not many do. So yeah, my guys, thank you, and have a good